Alright everybody, so this is the third video, and I've gone ahead and done all the rest of the poses for this walk cycle. And if I grab the controls here, you can see that there's a lot more keys on the timeline now. And one thing I'd like to mention about the way we animate is we don't usually go straight ahead and then, go like, let's say to frame 3 here and create a pose, and then to 6 and create a pose, and to 9 and create a pose, and so on and so forth. You can do that. It's just called straight ahead animation. But what we usually do is we pick some extreme positions in the animation that we're doing and do those, and then work our way back in between those and put in breakdowns or in-betweens. So in this case, the extreme would be this contact pose, and it's here, and then it's duplicated at 24 like I showed you before, and then at frame 12, which was the next frame I actually did, I did the opposite pose. So if you look at it, it really is just the exact opposite of frame 0. All the sides are switched, so let me show you here. There you go. And then the next thing I would do is I'd go to frame 6 and create this pose. And this is the what we call the passing pose, where the leg's passing the other leg, and the guy's pretty much straight over his post leg. So from there, I would actually duplicate that and do the opposite pose on frame 18, and then after that I'd go to frame 3 and create this breakdown pose, which is called the weight bearing pose, and this is where he actually obviously puts a weight on this front leg and starts taking all his weight off this back leg. And then I would duplicate this and do the opposite on frame 15, and then finally go to frame 9 and do this sort of stretching pose where he's lifting up into the air, and then duplicate that on frame 21 and do the opposite. And that's pretty easy to do the opposites. It's just, a lot of times it's just copying and pasting from one side to the other. So if you look at the animation though, this is what it ends up looking like if I just show you the key poses that I've done. So you can kind of see he's doing the walk now. But it looks all broken up. So once we get all the frames in there and let Maya interpolate, it starts to look like this. So this is the final walk. And as you can see, he's just sort of walking in place there. Got a little head bob going on. Looks pretty good. But there's a little bit more that's going on behind the scenes. And that's in the graph editor. And I mentioned this before. I don't know if I showed it to you. I forget now. But it basically takes every control that you've keyed and makes a graph out of the keyframes. So as you can see, they're all sort of lined up here. So this would be frame 0, and then the next line would be on frame 3 where it's keyed, and then frame 6 where it's keyed, and so on and so forth. But I can look at individual controls, like if I grab the shoulder here, and you can see that there is a graph for the X, Y, and Z rotations, because those are the channels or the dimensions that I'm rotating and moving and keying. So let's say if I just want to look at the X rotation, here's what the graph looks like for it. And these numbers up here directly correlate to these numbers here. They're the same thing. Make it easier for you to see. There you go. 36 there, 36 there. And what's cool is I can actually, let's do rotate Y or rotate Z, because you'll be able to see it better. We can actually grab this key right here in the graph editor and move it, and you can see that it's actually moving the character right there on the screen. So I can make adjustments right here in the graph editor, which is pretty awesome. And normally you want your graph to be nice and smooth. If there's a lot of weird stuff going on in your graph, it can make the animation pop, or it can make it slow down, or it just makes things look weird. Like if, for instance, this happens, you might notice that the arm while it's swinging is going to slow down and speed up, and then slow down and speed up, and slow down and speed up. We don't want that. We want just a smooth motion on that rotation. So I'll go in here and I'll actually grab the tangents for each of these points. I can rotate them by hand. Now I have a nice smooth arc going through this graph, which is great. It's exactly what I wanted. But that's the graph editor, and every single joint in here is logged in the graph editor. If I can grab the hips, and let's say I want to lift this guy up a little bit on this frame, I can grab this thing I can lift them up, or I can shrink them down. Or if I feel that the entire animation is a little bit too low, I can lift the whole thing up, lift the entire curve up. So every single one of these poses will be, his waist will be lifted up. So it's a really cool tool. I really like using it. Really nifty, and it's really important to making your animation nice and smooth and pretty. But that's it. That's the end of my intro to Maya. Hope you guys understand a little bit more about how I do what I do now. And take care. Let me know if you guys want to see anything else. Alright, bye.